Hey everybody, Gramps here for another Grampzquad video. I've got my daughter's 2010 Ford Escape, and she's got some pretty bad shaking on acceleration. Wiggled the axles, and the CVs are a bit loose, not real bad, but in checking it out, there's seems like it's probably the only thing that it could be. So I've got two axles ordered on the way. I'm going to replace them both because they're pretty cheap, and I'm going to get this thing knocked out. So there's the Escape. Pretty nice unit. It's got 250 some thousand kilometers on it. But so what we've done here quickly is I've just thrown it up on jack stands. Got jack stands under there, and I left the jack supporting the vehicle on the other side for just a little security. Blocks on the tires. So we're gonna take the wheels off and disconnect the front suspension there. So if you're doing work at home, highly recommend getting an impact driver like this. I found it on sale at Lowe's for about 65 bucks or something. They're normally 100 and something, but makes your life so much easier. All kinds of tough bolts, you're not breaking, you're busting your own nuts trying to get them off. Alright, so I've taken off the sway bar linkage here. That is a 14 mil, comes off pretty easy. This one here, your steering linkage, is a little different story. That's an 18 mil nut and an 8 mil on the bottom of the bolt there. So you use an impact driver, which I did to get it off, and you might need to use a wrench on the nut, and then an 8 mil driving it in, which takes the nut off on that. So sometimes that's a little problem issue, but with the little impact driver, I got it off pretty easy. There wasn't enough space to use the big dog down there. So we've got that off, the axle nut off, which I used was a 32 millimeter socket on that. I think it's slightly too big for that, but it worked fine. That's all I had. Now we need to disassemble that, pull that out, and what I use is I get a crowbar in there, and I can just pop that off, pop it out. There's a little retaining clip on the inside of the shaft, so you got to pry that out and pop it out. Be careful, there is going to be transmission fluid coming out. You can drain it, but I'm lazy, so what I do is I'll just put a pan underneath there and catch whatever comes out, and then I'll top it up a little bit later. So that's that. Almost forgot. There is a pinch bolt right here. I'm gonna have to take that one out. Holds on the other side there, so one more pinch bolt, and then everything will be free, be able to swing the rotor out of the way and pull the axle out. Alright, underneath the 2010 Escape here, now we've just replaced the axles. It had a little bit of wiggle to the axles, did them on both sides, did not get rid of the vibration issue on acceleration, but we got new axles. Anyway, so I crawled underneath here, and right here, kind of in the middle of the vehicle, there's a bearing. It's called a steady bearing, and I don't know if you can see this. If I wiggle this, it has quite a bit of play. So that should not wiggle like that, and that definitely would cause a vibration on acceleration. So I'm gonna check into getting one of those steady bearings, and we'll figure out how easy it is to replace. Alright, here's the tools we'll need. I got my little impact driver, 12 mil for the axle to the rear diff, 13 mil for the strap that comes from the center support bearing that we're going to be replacing, and then a T45 axle to the front differential, and a 21 mil for the bolts that are holding the center support bearing to the car. Alright. Okay, I've got all the bolts out except the bottom two on the rear diff here. You have to actually lift all the wheels up in the air, put it on jack stands, and so that you can actually turn the drive shaft. So I had the bottom two out. I just rotated the drive shaft. I have loosened the bolts here and undone the safety strap there for the bearing, I guess, and the front Torx bits have all been loosened off there. So once we get the bottom two off, we will drop the drive shaft and take a look at removing the bearing. Alright, so drop the drive shaft down from the car. Just remember to mark a spot here with your paint pen so you can line it up the right spot. And then also here, we're going to be separating this. So mark those spots so we can get it back in the right place. And on the back of the drive shaft also, I marked the one bolt hole there with the differential so you can get that in the right place. I don't know if that matters or not, but I'm going to put her back where it came from. Alright, so now we're going to take a 5/16 socket. I'm going to use my larger impact driver because they're on there pretty tight. I'll remove the 4 half-round yoke strap bolts here and separate the drive shaft at the center U-joint here. Don't remove or disassemble the U-joint. We're just going to take those bolts off. Okay, now we're gonna need a 15/16 socket. Impact set here. And take the center nut, the yoke nut and washer set aside. Take this off, and now we're gonna have to be careful here because we're gonna want to mark the spline on the stub shaft and the corresponding spline here on the yoke to make sure we got appropriate phasing of the during reassembly. Oh, here we go. Give this a whirl. So the kit comes with another washer and a bolt here, so these can discard, but we're gonna mark this once we get the washer off. Mark that good with a paint pen. Okay, now you're gonna need a 2-jaw puller and hook it underneath here, and of course the center in the middle there on the shaft, and we'll pull this sucker off. Alright, here's now where I've run into a little bit of a roadblock. Apparently I need a bearing puller and a hydraulic press to put the new part on. So I am going to cut my losses here and go find some help at a shop. There's a driveline shop here in town, so I am just going to pay a few bucks now. Instead of wrestling with this, I'll fight with it all day. And have them press this back on, and I'll be back. Alright, here in Lethbridge, Alberta, just dropped it off at Pat's Driveline. Should have it this afternoon, and it's only going to cost me about 30 bucks and change, so well worth the time to take it in here. I know when I'm at my limit and hand it off to somebody else, so we'll get that steady bearing installed on the drive shaft and come back and we'll throw her in. Alright, just got back from the driveline shop. They pressed that on there, and so we're gonna put it back together and put her back in. Alright, installation just opposite of the teardown. Started by putting it in the front there and just loosely putting the bolts on that one, and then just putting those guys on loosely, and then popping these loosely in there. It just slides right up in there. Not too tough. Just tighten everything back up. We're ready to roll. Well, there's another video from Grampzquad here. Did the axles on the Ford Escape 2010 and drive shaft bearing, support bearing in the middle there, and we're going to take her for a test drive and see how she goes. So if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe, and we'll be bringing more great content to you here. Have a great one.